You wanted me. Here I am.
Whatto, Batman? I've heard TGV's got a new video on your good friend, the esteemed Nolan.
And why do you want to kill me?
Well, it's really quite simple. You never click like on any of his videos.
You're garbage. You kills for money.
Now listen here, old chap. Haven't you seen any of my movies? I'm absolutely swimming in cash. Besides, it's not my fault. Humans make such delicious hors d'oeuvres. Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Now today I am joined by a very special guest indeed to discuss the watches and cinema of Christopher Nolan. This is Debbie Sanna. So hi Debbie, how are you?
Fine. Hello guys, hello everybody. Thank you for having me here today.
Usually when I start a video, I do a wristwatch check, but I notice you don't wear a watch.
I don't have anything on today. Absolutely nothing.
Well, I think we'll make a watch enthusiast out of you. Yeah, I think there's a lot of great watches in this. When I found out that Nolan is your favorite film director.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just had to get you on the show because, like I was saying when we were discussing this, nobody has used time in so many different ways as Nolan.
As he has.
Yeah. I'll just quickly get my wristwatch check out the way, and I'm wearing something that's kind of related to Dunkirk, and we'll get to that in just a moment, but it's my little Omega Seamaster. This is a vintage piece that I recently picked up. So what drew you to Nolan, first of all?
I had seen all of his previous films, the Batman trilogy, and then I'd seen Memento and so on. But the first film that really made me fall in love with his filmmaking was Inception. And now it's the 10-year anniversary of Inception. Basically it was last weekend or something. And then Interstellar was and still is my favorite film of all time. So those were the two biggest films of his. And now obviously I can't wait for Tenet, which should be released in just a few weeks. And that also, focuses a lot on the concept of time again.
One of these bullets is like us, travelling forwards through time. The other one's going backwards. Can you tell which is which? How about now?
We've worked with Hamilton several times.
All right, let's shoot one.
They love film. They get excited about it. I said, this is what it needs to do. I need watch hands, so this looks like a military ordinary watch, but I need a digital readout within it. And obviously the stem for the hand goes straight through the digital mechanics. It's very tricky.
We should also mention Memento, because the way the story is structured, and you're literally skipping from back and forth in time.
Absolutely, yeah. It's one of the films that basically define a lot of future Christopher Nolan films, because it's all about the warping of time and the perception you have of what's going on, which then is different, and different time moments throughout the film, and you don't know which one you're watching in that moment.
Inception, and I have to say I recently rewatched it. It didn't blow me away the first time I saw it, but seeing it this time, a little bit older.
I know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, it is literally a labyrinth. It's so multi-layered.
Absolutely.
It's kind of open-ended. It's been scrutinized endlessly.
It took him about 10 years to write that.
10 years? Wow.
Yeah, it took him about 10 years. So now everybody's wondering if Inception took him 10 years, and apparently Tenet took him even longer. We have no idea what the film's going to be about, of course.
Wow. I did not know that. Well, it makes sense.
It took him a long time.
Do you think that he got to do that? Because, I mean, as a mainstream film, so he obviously had success and proved himself as a bankable option. Because it still blows my mind that film was a hit. It doesn't condescend the audience. It's complex. I still don't quite understand it.
Nolan's always said he's been really lucky, really, really lucky, because Warner Bros. Took a chance with him and they allowed him to make a lot of films which wouldn't be commercially successful with another director, if you see what I mean. Imagine the concept of Inception and trying to pitch this to an audience.
Yeah.
And so he's always said he's been very, very lucky to have the budget that a company such as Warner Bros. Can allow him to have, but at the same time maintain his ideas. Even if you think about it, Dunkirk is not something that would particularly attract huge audiences. And instead, he managed to do that the same.
There's one thing you should know about me. I specialize in a very specific type of security. Subconscious security. You're talking about dreams?
Rewatching it, I noticed how literally in the first kind of 30 minutes, how the Ellen Page character, I forget her name.
Ariadne in Inception, yeah.
A reference to Greek mythology, in the labyrinth.
Labyrinth, yeah. Because she's the designer.
Of course, yeah. She actually said that 5 minutes in reality is 1 hour in the dream. From the get-go, there's so many shots of like close-ups on Leonardo DiCaprio's Tag Heuer watch and the way it slows down. All of his films, the 3 we're talking about today, all have watches playing a part in the actual plot. Ellen Page, incidentally, she wears a very nice Cartier tank.
Okay.
Which it's perfect for Paris because of those scenes in Paris. It has, French lineage. It's a very old world, classy watch. I felt that the watch for DiCaprio didn't really. It felt a little
Fit
bit.
him.
Yeah, because he's an ambassador. He was a Tag Heuer ambassador.
Right.
It kind of took me a little bit out of the film.
Too much of a reference to outside, do you mean?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yes, exactly.
There's also the part of Hans Zimmer at the time, because Hans Zimmer, so basically the music, Hans Zimmer was the composer for the music. He has been the composer for most of Christopher Nolan's films.
Right.
And basically all the music in both Interstellar and Inception is, when they're losing time on the planet with the waves, there's this really loud ticking, there's always this ticking in it.
Yes, absolutely.
And that plays a very important element. And then, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, nobody's very sure about this, but apparently the Inception, lasts as long as La Vie en Rose of Edith Piaf, which is the song they listen to.
Oh, of
I don't
course.
know, in I don't know I'm thinking of this in Italian, sorry about that.
No, tell me.
Proportion was the word I was thinking of. So proportionally, it lasts just the same
Right.
length.
Absolutely.
He's not doing the music for Tenet, though.
Oh no, that's a shame. That is a shame.
No, I can't remember who's doing it, but he's not doing it because he already has to do Dune and Wonder Woman and Top Gun and a lot of other things.
Right. Okay. Interesting. It's a shame because he had, like you said, it's an excellent point, and I'm really glad you brought this up. He uses this kind of metronomic rhythm.
Absolutely.
In all 3 of them.
One of those. He's on me.
I'm on him.
It heightens the tension as well.
Especially if you think of that planet scene, the waves planet in Interstellar, literally they're wasting time. The more time they waste, the more it's years and years that pass on Earth. So they're these really loud ticks, and that's like, time has passed again. Oh, that's another year. That's another 2 years. That's another 3 years, and so on as they're wasting time.
Were you at all put off by the kind of ambiguous ending of Inception?
Nolan has actually said that he knows how it ends. And that's the important thing, that he didn't leave it purposely open because it could be this or that. He said there is one definitive answer to how the film ends. I can't really say without spoilers, whichever of the endings it is, they both kind of make sense.
Okay.
Both the endings make sense. He knows which one of the 2 makes sense, but whichever of the 2 you pick, they're okay. That's kind of what he said, without getting into spoilers for those who haven't seen it yet.
I think you did a good job. I think you did it because it's also an interesting mix of styles. Like rewatching it now, I could have sworn it feels like a James Bond movie. It has this kind of
the heist concept.
Yeah.
But even Interstellar, What a lot of people don't like Interstellar. A lot of people don't. They can't even believe when I say it's my favourite film of his and favourite film in general, because they say there's too much love in it. That love shouldn't be so heavily featured in a science fiction film. That the love as the solution to everything isn't really a solution, and so on. But all of his films really feature a lot of different elements. There's never one defining genre. So even Inception, it's a lot about the love that Cobb, so Leonardo DiCaprio, had with his wife. A huge part of the plot is him not being able to go on from his past relationship. And then there's, you know, the science fiction part of it, and then like the drama part of it. And Interstellar even gets creepy, like scary in some points.
Yeah, it does.
So it's always a mix of genres. We don't really know what to expect from Tenet, because, for example, in Tenet, in the trailer, they say, we're trying to stop World War III, and John David Washington's character says, so nuclear holocaust, and they say, no, something worse. And that is really dreadful, because you think, what could actually be worse than complete annihilation of the human race? So it gets really scary. There's just this ominous feeling of something big always going on.
Right. Yeah. You can definitely feel it in Interstellar, especially because I mean it is a kind of is it a dystopian future?
Yeah, because it's basically set as if we were in the era if we were grandparents. So our generation were grandparents, and that's not too far from now, really. That's not too far. And so to think of it, that could literally happen, because it could potentially happen, is pretty scary.
Yeah. I think this mix of styles is going back to Inception, there's so many like conspiracy theories and people trying to analyze the plot and the meanings and all these hidden little things. It's very Kubrick-esque. I
watched 2001: A Space Odyssey after Interstellar, I know, but I caught up with it way too late. And in the moment in which I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, I wanted to rip down the huge Interstellar poster I had in my room.
Oh no!
I was so furious. I was so furious with Nolan. I was saying, why did you have to be such a Kubrick fanboy and not do your own film? It was too similar. Then it took me a few months of, I rewatched Interstellar. I thought, no, in the end, the topics are different. The whole point of the plot is different. There are some very obvious references, which, in my opinion, he could have avoided. That was just a kind of a fan service. But he is a bit fixated with Kubrick. Yeah,
Definitely. Even the robot, it's very like HAL. It's like a non-evil HAL. Interstellar really deals with a lot of high concept. I mean, all his films are kind of high concept. Like the ideas of time speeding up and down, effectively like the theory of relativity and all of this. I barely can tell left from right. I have to think about it for a few seconds. So for me, I never felt really lost, or I always understood what was going on. Yeah, even with these quite complicated ideas. How do you feel about that?
I once watched a video in which Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think is his name, the scientist, was breaking down certain points in Interstellar, and he was saying, this scene is not possible because of this and this and this law of physics and this and this. And I didn't even know that, but for him it was obvious because he is so knowledgeable in that field. But at the same time, I enjoyed it anyway. So regardless, everybody can watch it. There's never that feeling that you have to know everything about it. And that's something that a lot of people have criticized about Nolan. They say that he tries too hard, and his films always have to be more and more complicated, and Tenet is just going to be something that's got to be even more complicated just to prove that we can't follow up with his films. But that's not true, because you can follow them really easily, even without being, a major in science or something.
Yeah. He never talks down to his audience, and I kind of appreciate that. Interstellar, I think, is probably deals with time to a more profound level because it's space-time. I don't know if you're aware, but Hamilton, the brand that's in the movie, and I've reviewed the watch that Matthew McConaughey wears. It's this khaki pilot watch, and he plays a pilot, so it was perfectly cast. But then there's the other watch, which was a practical effect. They actually built into a watch that it didn't exist at the time. And then what happened was, and you find this fascinating because the fans loved the watch so much, Hamilton actually came out with a real version of the watch. I should say spoilers for anybody. Yeah, this is spoilers now. So in the film, he uses this watch to communicate through time with using Morse code in the hands, right?
With his daughter, yeah.
Yeah, with his daughter. And that watch effectively didn't exist. It was only built for the film. It was a practical effect. And it's a shame because the watch they then released, they made it too big, and I would have bought it. It's a beautiful piece. I also should explain to you that Hamilton has been in over 400 movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have a really rich legacy of being involved in cinema. Yeah. They used to be American, then they joined the Swatch group, so they became Swiss. But predominantly they're an American brand, and it has a very American aesthetic, stylistically. And I think it just suited the characters, I should say, perfectly. And I love it when watch companies work intelligently. And this is why, going back to Inception, it's just DiCaprio wearing the watch that he's an ambassador for. It didn't take it to that extra level, you know? Do you see what I'm saying?
And you know what? I'm thinking that I would have never noticed this, but as a watch lover, I imagine just being disappointed, like, you could have put anything except for that, and that just takes you, especially because Inception is all about being in a dream and being so detached from reality, and then there's something like bam in the middle that reminds you, this is DiCaprio.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head, yeah. Which actually, I think Ellen Page with her Cartier, that watch in Paris, that's what you'd wear. I was like, oh, that's a Cartier.
Yeah,
and then that was it. You know, I didn't think about it because this is another thing. Whenever I watch a film, I'm looking at the watches as well.
Right,
you know?
Yeah.
I didn't feel that with Interstellar. And Dunkirk we'll get into in just a moment, because I think, again, it's another example. I feel that Nolan, with each film, his craft is improving. The way he's using time is always, he's just got more proficient at it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about Dunkirk. I think that's a nice segue into Dunkirk. This is my favorite out of the three.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just can't get into. It's the history fact. It's just not my genre. So I like it, but at the same time, just that the science fiction part of Interstellar and Inception is the thing that really got me.
Oh, interesting. So you prefer science fiction?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Totally.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But my best friend, who loves Nolan as well, she says Dunkirk is, one of the best films that he's ever made because she's so into history. And that's just see how different tastes can appreciate different things from a movie. What was the thing that you liked so much about Dunkirk? Was it the storytelling, the cinematography?
I love the watch in it, but it was the use of time. I'm a big Akira Kurosawa fan.
Okay.
The way it showed the three stories in three different time scales. So you've got 1 hour, 1 day, and I think 1 week with different perspectives. I hadn't seen that before. It reminded me of Rashomon, which is a 1950 black and white film by Kurosawa. He doesn't use time the same way, but what he was doing, and it was revolutionary at the time, was telling the same story but from the perspective of three different characters. And it was showing how truth can totally be different depending on perspective.
Absolutely.
It was like a crime thriller. It was like a detective thriller type thing. There was an inciting incident, and you had to figure out the truth from these three different, completely contrasting stories, right? Dunkirk didn't do that, but the perspective thing was very similar, and how it impacted each other. And then on top of that, you've got the time and the way it crosses. It just absolutely blew my mind, that. And I thought it was a high concept again, but like you said, it was understandable. I never felt lost.
Yeah, and it doesn't. It's never too heavy. It's not a complicated element of the film where you're like, wait a minute, now what am I watching? Is it? It's just fluid. It just runs smoothly.
And the way the watch was used as well, like in Tom Hardy's character, in fact, I was so inspired that immediately after seeing the film, I tracked down a World War II, not that precise one, but what's called the Spitfire watch. And that's why it's related to the watch I'm wearing today. But the way he was using the watch, because the fuel gauge in his Spitfire had stopped working. So he had to calculate how much fuel he had left by turning this bezel that enabled him to time and figure out how long he could stay in the air, because it was literally like every moment he was fighting, he was saving lives. So again, we got time being used, heightening the tension.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was just... It was beautiful, and I'm gonna go on a mini rant now, okay? But something that people forget is how important mechanical watches, because this is before digital, before quartz, before batteries, any of that. Lives really depended on the accuracy. I mean, there's a beautiful photograph, one of my favorite photographs, and I don't know who took it, of British paratroopers about to engage on D-Day landings, and they're synchronizing their watches. It's a matter of life and death, because they're going to have an artillery barrage and coordinating landings, and watches, whether they were going to space or going under the ocean or whatever they were being used for, every moment counts and people's lives depend on it. And I think we've forgotten that because we're kind of spoilt with our phones and our digital,
We are.
So that really spoke to me on such a profound level. I guess, it's a watch fanatics film, really, I think,
And by the way, before when you were speaking, I was thinking, this is a question I've always wanted to ask you since, I've met you and I've discovered this passion that you have for the watches.
Right.
How big is the effect that a watch in a film has on the market? Because, there are a lot of popular films, Top Gun with the Ray-Bans, and Ray-Ban was...
Yeah.
Sort of the company was not about to, close down, but sort of. And basically just that one shot with Tom Cruise with the glasses sort of single-handedly saved the company. A watch, something is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Does it have a big impact on the market? So say in all these films, or you were saying, DiCaprio wearing the watch in Inception, would that have an effect on the market? Like, would people... Sorry, I just thought a bit...
That is an excellent question. It depends on the film and how it's used. I think Top Gun is a prime example because the watch in that, it's a Porsche design. It's a very obscure... only watch people are going to know about that stuff. And funny enough, I was looking at... This is how sad I am. I was looking at eBay prices of this very watch literally last week. And they're in the thousands, and it's not even that amazing of a watch. It's got this kind of sexiness to it. And I think... Because it's PVD, it's all like blacked out, and it looks very tactical. It felt right for the movie. It wasn't forced. And that's going back to what we were saying about Inception, or what I was saying about Inception. It took me out of the film because I'm reminded, and look, Tag Heuer sell a hell of a lot of watches. They're very, very successful, but when it suits the character, or it's been utilized as part of the plot, or there's something like James Bond is the ultimate example. I mean, it really does. It can make or break a watch. So, excellent question. Excellent question.
Because if you think of something like glasses, some sunglasses can be expensive, but not as much as a pretty fancy watch. So for that to have such an impact on the market, it's so interesting. It really is. Because I always thought about the clothes, like in Interstellar, they all wear these like Carhartt like clothes, like Matthew McConaughey's wears completely Carhartt, and that obviously had an impact because you could literally see the brand all the time. But a watch, like something, that really intrigued me. Pretty interesting.
I'll tell you something that I wanted to ask you about these three movies. Mm-hmm. Nolan is definitely a world builder. Like, he creates these very tangible, believable worlds. Like,
absolutely, yes.
What else do you think kind of separates his style from others?
One of the things that always make his films successful, it's something that even people who hate Nolan, because there are some people that say, oh, the Nolanites, they're just that's how they call
Nolanites is that
but it's not with a positive way they say it. No, they mean like people who are obsessed too much with him.
Wow.
What they say is that Nolan just has so much money that he can pay for the best of the best of the best. And what a lot of people say is, how would a Nolan film be without that budget? Because, of course, when you have that much money, you're going to be paying for the best cameras, best cinematographers, best actors, best, composers. It's going to be good. At the worst, it's going to be just, okay, that was a good film. It's never going to be bad. So I've been thinking about this a lot. And since, again, one of my friends said, think of a Nolan film without that budget. Would it be the same? And I think it would be, because, or even now, Tenet, Nolan apparently said that Tenet uses less visual effects shots than your average romantic movie. That's what he said. So it's not all about the visual effects. It's because even Inception, the concept of it, you didn't really need the special effects to make the film work. Even Memento, if you think about it, Memento could have been filmed on an iPhone. If you see what I mean. You don't really need that many special effects to convey the story. I think it's just the detail in everything. He will figure out every single detail. Even in Interstellar, there is a scene with a wormhole and a black hole. And in both cases, everything that's around the perimeter is warped. They got these physicists in to calculate how the light off of every single star would be accurately warped. So the perfect angle. But that's the level of detail, and it's him and his brother, because his brother is also like that. He's written a lot of scripts, and he's the guy basically behind Westworld. He wrote the series Westworld.
Right, I have still yet to watch that. Yeah,
it's a typical Nolan family kind of thing. It's like a film but made into a series.
Interesting.
And I think it must be the detail. So you're totally convinced of that world. Like Inception, you're like, yep, this is something that could actually happen. That's something that, at the end of the film, you're still thinking about it. It's so realistic.
Wake me up! Wake me up! Wake me up! Wake me up!
Hey. It's the devil in the details, I guess.
Absolutely, yeah.
So if Dunkirk is not your favourite, I have to ask, what was
Out of the three.
Yeah, out of the three, what were your issues with it?
I remember when I went to see it, I was absolutely excited. I came out, I was basically crying. I loved it so much.
Nice.
But the thing is, it was just that I've rewatched it since, but it's just the story doesn't interest me as much as, I don't know, Interstellar and Inception. And I know that he made Dunkirk mostly because of it was something that he wanted to complete for personal reasons, because he had gone with his wife on a boat trip years ago. Where the battle happened, and he had found they'd find themselves in difficult weather conditions and everything, and so he started to think of the soldiers there, and so he decided to make it for more personal reasons. I don't know, so it was just maybe not my genre.
No, that's completely understandable. I still haven't seen any films by any director that have, or a body of work that have explored as many kind of interlocking time structures, or the way that the layering of time. He seems to be obsessed with it, and I mean, it's a good obsession.
He is.
So
yeah,
this new film, I haven't heard anything about it, and I kind of like the least I know, the better.
I'm like that. I know that I'm so pleased that it's coming out. Usually in Italy, because I live in Italy, we have to wait like a month before a film comes out sometimes. So for Dunkirk, we had to wait a whole month, and I was like, there's no way I can avoid spoilers for a whole month. People would just be like commenting under posts or something and writing it. But now it's actually coming out earlier here. It's coming out on the 26th of August, whereas I think in America it's coming out the beginning of September. So luckily we're not going to, I'm going to be able to avoid spoilers. But yeah, I've watched the trailer and that's it. Like, I don't want to know anything more about it until we go and watch it.
Fair enough. I wonder if it's going to have the grandeur of the previous, because they're all pretty epic.
I don't know.
I mean, they're epic movies. He makes epics.
You want to crash a plane? Well, how big a plane? That part is a little dramatic.
It looks like he's trying to go over that, and I have no idea. Like, nobody has any idea what he's going to do more than that. He can't just keep on doing more and more and more and more.
Yeah.
But then we have no idea what it's about. It's about time, but nobody can really understand how it's going to work.
Well,
there are a lot of questions there, and the film hasn't even come out. So they're already interpretations, and the film literally hasn't even been released.
that's crazy. So who's starring in it?
So it's John David Washington and Robert Pattinson. John David Washington is Denzel Washington's son, and Robert
okay.
Pattinson is the guy.
The Lighthouse guy, right?
Yeah. I'm pleased you recognise him from that. He's hated by a lot of people because of his Twilight past. Yeah, but nobody ever started a film career by directly starring in something perfect. And he's often criticised.
He was
right?
great in The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
I mean, that film was so bizarre.
What?
I loved it. Did you like it?
Yeah. He is a great actor. Just a lot of people criticise him without even knowing. They're like, oh, the Twilight guy. If you see some of the stuff like Adam Sandler started his career in, you couldn't imagine he's now like in Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
Like,
well, that was a great movie. Have you seen that?
Yeah, loved that.
Yeah.
It was a bit of an Oscar snob. I would have imagined at least him being nominated, but he wasn't.
Actually, in closing, I have something to ask you because I recently just finished watching is it Netflix? No, it's Amazon Prime's adaptation of Roberto Saviano's 000. Have you seen that at all?
No, because I haven't read the book yet.
Okay.
I've read the other Saviano books, but I haven't read that one. So I haven't seen the series, no.
Okay, it's directed by one of my favorite directors, this guy called Stefano Sollima.
Sollima, yeah.
He's from Rome. He directed a series called Romanzo Criminale, which I have a family member, my great uncle's in it. And
oh, right?
Yeah, because it's about the old neighborhood. Anyway, but he's Roman, and he predominantly tells these kind of stories of, usually it's about Rome, but then I think he did Sicario 2 or whatever.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
With 000, he uses time in this way I haven't seen before. And there's no spoilers, but like halfway through each episode, it will slow down to like super, super slow motion, right?
Okay.
And then you'll change perspective and you'll see the same story from somebody else and how you got to that point. It's very clever. It's quite subtle.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I highly recommend it.
You got me interested.
Yeah, you've got to see it.
Yeah.
You'd like it.
I've read the other Saviano books.
Yeah.
And I've seen,
Gomorrah.
Yeah, but I haven't read the book. But I guess I could skip to the series.
Well, the books are always more like visceral and more like disturbing than the adaptations. But anyway, okay. So Debbie, thank you so much for that. I think that was really insightful.
Thank you.
Really cool. So definitely, guys, check out Debbie's channel. I'll leave a link down below, and hopefully, we'll think of some more time-related movies.
Bye, everybody.
All right, guys, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, and don't forget to add your comments down below, thoughts, queries, opinions, all the rest of it, and I will catch you in the next one. Okay, thank you for watching. Ciao.